Inside the Game here on the National Soccer Network, YouTube, and Roku, wherever you're watching us here today. Nate Wangler back alongside Ryan Glinsky here for 295, just 5 episodes shy of number 300. It has been a long journey since the start of this show. Again, it is always fun going back and looking back at some of the OG episodes. You know, it's so funny every time I get into this YouTube page, whether to post a video or do something else, I'll catch one of our old clips of Jonathan Turner and myself up at the top of the page, and I'm like, who was watching this recently? And normally it's Ryan looking back at some of the OG clips of JT and I from Once Upon a Time. But it has certainly been a journey back. But we appreciate all you guys that jump in the comment section from day to day. I know we had a few newbies yesterday. Dave, Fabian, Luke Schrock from time to time. We appreciate all you guys. So big shouts to y'all. But a busy day in the USL yesterday. Our producer friend Ryan Glinsky was actually on double duty again yesterday for AC Connecticut, producing and broadcasting that game. That team's been a fun one to cover so far. But how did yesterday shake out for you guys?
I was I would say amazing goals all over the place. Not necessarily the result that I'm sure AC Connecticut wanted, but Albany Rush, they got their first victory on the season. They scored one there, and then I mean this team scores nothing but bangers. It feels like AC Connecticut. Oh, that's not the Cantanzaro. I thought it was the Cantanzaro goal. I guess it wasn't, but yeah, no, this is the one right here. I mean, just the shot outside the left foot. I think that was like 20-ish yards out, or 20 yards from the goal, or from the end line, I should say. That was a really good finish. This one was the best one, I think, of the day. And that's a high schooler, by the way. That is Aiden Gatchell. He's actually a high schooler. He actually had a brother on the team that was also from high school. They actually played really well. But yeah, no, they had a lot of opportunities in the game. AC Connecticut, that is. And it just felt like they just could not put the ball in the back of the net. They had a lot of chances, a lot of good opportunities as well, especially late in the game, but just couldn't find a way to break them down completely. And yeah, Albany Rush gets their first 3 points of the season. I will say, keep an eye out for New England FC and Vermont Green. They are currently in. I know Vermont Green obviously is the reigning champs, but look at New England FC. Just take a look at those two in the Northeast
Yeah.
Division. They are
Oh, yeah.
just buzzsaws. They are just
Mm-hmm.
putting BTA after BTA after BTA. Do I have to say it again? BTA. They literally kill every single team that they play. It feels like they're winning 5-0 plus every single game. Keep an eye out for those two. And yeah, that was just how the AC Connecticut Albany Rush goal our game went on, and then their women's team also lost yesterday. And yeah, no, not a great night for AC Connecticut, but they'll be back again to tomorrow. But yeah, no, what's up, Fabian? Apparently I missed his son's best goal. I'll have to take a look at which one it is. But
All right.
yeah, no, great performance from Albany Rush yesterday. I mean, they're all good games so far. Really
Yeah.
entertaining. If you're someone that is looking for high scoring games, I would look at the USL2 and the USLW because they know how to put the ball
Yeah.
in the back of the net.
And they don't play measured. Like, they don't play out of the back. Well, they do play out of the back,
Some
but
do.
they're not afraid to bomb it over top and create one-on-ones. And that's like Midwest United. You know, I called their game again yesterday, fell to Kalamazoo FC. Tough loss for those guys because they really, in terms of, you know, being a squad that is expected to get to the playoffs, I think they've kind of built that expectation as they snuck in last year. Just fell short to Fort Wayne, obviously, in the USL playoffs. But they have been there and done that. And against the Kalamazoo team who had yet to win a game, Kazoo and Midwest were both kind of like that. They were both bombing it over top. But it was, oddly enough, talking about the Connecticut trend, Enzo Beatrix got his third goal of the season. He's the only goal scorer through 3 matches right now with Kazoo FC, but he has 3 of them put a defender on skates yesterday. Sorry, I didn't send you the clips. I'll make sure I do that next time. But lost a guy, scored a goal, and then really just kind of batten down the hatches. And I've learned one thing in covering the sport, especially as a play-by-play announcer. I've seen all the different potential combinations, right, from 0-0 draws to 5-4 matchups to 5-0 shutouts and championships. I've seen all of it. But what I will say is that you play the odds. because sometimes it might work out in your favor, sometimes it won't. Sometimes one team controls tempo, possession, chances, opportunities, shots on, all those things, but it just so happens that you hit on that one counter opportunity, and that's all you needed to win the match. I mean, it's very much like USA Panama coded from the Nations League. That it's something of that sort. So KZoo FC gets the win yesterday, their first one in the Great Lakes division. But it's interesting you mentioned New England. Like, I put together like my own power rankings. I think it's interesting. USL2 doesn't do any power rankings officially, but New England is on there. They have a goal differential of 12 right now. Swainio FC plus 16, Vermont Green plus 14, Lehigh Valley, by the way, who has the greatest minor league mascot in baseball, in my opinion, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. I don't know what they call the Lehigh Valley United, but I'm sure they probably have a good nickname. But 4-0, they're plus 8, and then obviously Peoria City in Flint City. Flint City's the team that you just, in that Great Lake division, you're going to have to get over the hump against those guys. Like, unfortunately, they are who they are. Not to say they're unbeatable, but, they're certainly right there. So, yeah, fun day yesterday in the USL. We'll continue giving you guys breakdowns on all that. Also, how is the whole producing and broadcasting? Are you getting used to doing double duty?
Yeah, no, it's I've definitely gotten, I was much better yesterday. A little trouble with getting the stream set up and just the exact things I got to push, but no, Will Jenkins, James also helped me yesterday as well. So James Schofield. So yeah, no, they're helping me for sure. Yeah, no, it's I'm getting used to it for sure. I felt very comfortable with it yesterday, as like the game was going on. So the replays were much better. Everything was much better. But yeah, no, I feel comfortable with it. I told John, and he's like, if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true, because he was also doing the same thing. As Macomb Union USLW, they beat DCFC yesterday, so that was another good one. In the USLW side, but yeah, no, absolute. It's interesting, but it's basically the same thing of doing the podcast here, because I don't know if anyone knows. Like, I also produce the podcast and call it the only thing that helps me is like Nate gets to introduce everything, which actually helps me a lot. I don't think people realize that, but the only difference is now that I have to open up everything, and then I just have to take replays and then update the score. That's really the only difference, and it's a little difficult, but it's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, and knowing when you're going to do replays helps as a play-by-play announcer, right, too, because you can kind of set yourself up at the same time. So, hey, man, I mean, if you can figure out how to do it, you can figure out how to do it. So it's kind of a look at our USL rundown, though. Wanted to mention this before we get into our opening topic here in the show. We'll probably take a quick break after this one, and then we'll get into some more ticket price drama. Yes, there is still some more New Jersey and New York subpoenaing FIFA over ticket prices. But wanted to congratulate very quickly Chris Richards winning the Conference League with Crystal Palace. He was on the bench. Again, all reports indicated that he is healthy enough to play and compete in the World Cup. He was training with Crystal Palace. So, the lost in translation moment that we had with the tears and the sprains and everything, he's good to go. But, it's been impressive to see what he's done at Crystal Palace and the history he's made with that club. And, another American winning something of significance leading into the World Cup, which has to be not only a good feeling for him, but also a good feeling for Mauricio Pochettino and squad, knowing that they're getting a happy, and if not completely healthy, at least partially healthy Chris Richards going into the World Cup.
Yeah, a couple comments here. My dad says Nathan is the man. Ryan is pretty okay also. All right, Dad. Sounds good. Sounds good, Dad. Dave,
good old dad comment there.
Dave, hola, folks. Yet another European trophy for the English last night. The last for this year. We'll talk about that later. Dave just be hating on us. They're gonna sweep. English is gonna sweep the European trophies. Oh, back to Crystal Palace. I'm sure it was bittersweet for all the Crystal Palace fans yesterday, knowing that Oliver Glasner. Whenever I see Oliver, at least spelt out, I think of Olivier Giroud, but Oliver Glasner leaving the club after he did a really good job. Is that a true stat, Dave? I have to search that one up during the break. I might have to search First player to win 2 different European Cups in one season. I'm going to have to search that up during the break there, Dave. Nice stat there. Apparently someone has won. I'll have to search it up to confirm, and we'll talk about it later. But no, if anything, I was just more impressed that he made the bench. Chris Richards, that was. I was like, as long as he just makes the bench, he doesn't have to play, to be honest. Because if he's able to make the bench, it's a good sign for the U.S. men's national team. It's a good sign for everyone because it means that he's good to go. That he will be able to, at least, maybe he'll sit out a couple days, couple training sessions with the U.S. men's national team, but he's pretty much like 90% of the way there back to at least playable condition, which the English have got to be better at saying sprains and torn ligaments, because when I hear torn ligaments, I'm thinking this dude's cooked. Torn ligaments mean a sprain? Just say a sprain. Damn. Like, what is a sprain to them? Like, is a torn ACL like, man, he sprained his knee? Is that like a torn ACL? Like, I don't know, because that's horrible. When they just scared the living crap out of all U.S. men's national team and Americans fans last week, because, oh my God, what do you mean our starting center back has torn ligaments in his ankle? Like, what are we doing? That's
yeah.
I mean, come on.
Why do you have to incite? Yeah, exactly. Incite hysteria. Why is that something that's necessary? It's interesting. I'll have to look that up during the break to see what exactly they would actually call a tear in the UK, as opposed to, calling a sprain a tear. Doesn't make any sense. Scientifically speaking, they may be onto something, because I know the muscle is technically tearing in a sprain, which sprains are worse than breaks in some respects. Sprains are the worst. However, they didn't have to do that to all of us, as if we don't already have enough stuff to talk about with Tanner Tessman not being there and some of the other injuries.
Cardoso, come on, guys.
Yeah. By the way, very quickly before we head to break here, was Tanner Tessman healthy enough to play on his injury, play through his injury? Because I see people getting more and more upset every single day with the fact that he wasn't selected to this roster, and I'm genuinely confused, because I was under the belief that Tanner Tessman was hurt, and by hurt I mean like not able to play hurt. I know that Cardoso needs surgery, but
so they were saying, obviously he's not on the team. He has like a muscle strain around his hip area, I think, or hamstring, and it says, I guess, the 23-year-old is a skillful playmaker, but his extensive injury history, lack of form at the club level, and past attitude issues with the men's national team made him a controversial choice. So I guess there's something behind the scenes we don't know about, is what my guess would be. So
interesting.
Again, maybe there's some beef, maybe there's some butting of the heads. I don't know, but apparently maybe there's something that we don't really know about, because I thought the same thing as you, where it's like, I think he's good to go. Like, I think he'd be able to play on it. As Ted Lasso said to Jamie Tart, "You're hurt, not injured. You're hurt." And I guess he's hurt, but I guess maybe him and Pochettino didn't get along, which more on Mauricio Pochettino later. Yeah. Good stuff, U.S. Soccer.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We'll touch on that. Yeah, you say that,
real quick,
but I'm not.
Real quick. So Dave was correct on this stat. Evan, and I don't know how to say his last name, Geisen, I don't know. First player to ever win 2 European trophies in a single season. He technically played enough matches in the Europa League with Aston Villa, scored 2 goals in the earlier rounds with Aston Villa, so he's able to get a winner's medal. But he was sent out on loan this winter to Crystal Palace, and they just won the Conference League, and he made 6 appearances in the Conference League and scored a goal. So he will get 2 European trophy medals, because the dude is on 2 teams.
That's pretty sick. Hey, man, sometimes it pays to be a journeyman, and then you just get the benefits of all the different places you end up going. So that's that's funny.
My dad with a good one-liner in here as well. As my old football coach used to say, you can play hurt, you cannot play if you're injured. Yeah, Dad, the Catholic League, so difficult in Metro Detroit area. You guys were real tough. Again, if I played on a bloody nose back in my day, back when I played, does that make me tough? I played with a bloody nose like Diego Luna. Does that make me tough like everyone else?
Are you saying you saying the Catholic League ain't tough?
Yeah, Dad. Is the Catholic League tough at all?
In football? in football?
Yeah, Dad, is the Catholic League that tough in football?
You
Are we
trolling
serious about
your
that?
dad right now? Are you pressing buttons right now?
Mm-hmm. Because that's all I hear is my uncles and my neighbors. Catholic League this, Catholic League that.
It just
It's
means
so
more.
difficult. Actually, I
It
told my
just
dad
means more.
I told my dad I now respect the Catholic League because Trey McKinney hit the dagger 3 to win the national championship for Michigan. So, yeah, Dad,
Oh, that's what
it's
it took.
super tough. All right, especially in football.
Oh man, let's take a break. Ryan will continue to rage bait his father into segment number 2. But FC Bayern summer soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America, open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. Right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com.
So the dream behind Irene's was simply to be a place where the community could come and gather. This is my hometown, we're raising our family here, and we just want to be a space where people can come together as a community and share a great meal. We've got golf simulators, we got pinball, live music, trivia nights, but we also have fresh, always homemade, locally sourced food, and we serve it with a sense of Gemütlichkeit. This is a German word that conveys a sense of warmth and coziness and belonging. We're excited to show off how we're growing and that this is the place to be.
Oh, something must have been on a loop.
Okay.
That was weird. That wasn't on a loop.
Hard cut. Right back to the show.
Yeah,
What's
that
up,
was
everybody?
weird.
295 here on the National Soccer Network. Well, sometimes I know during like pregame halftime they'll throw them on a loop. Our good friend James Schofield over at the studio, who just so happens to be my producer for pretty much every game that I do, he'll loop a lot of those. So to those who don't know, the equipment Ryan is using is all used for broadcasting games. So sometimes he's scrambling a little bit, but no, it's okay, man. All right, we cut out. We're good to go. We're continuing the conversation. By the way, I love that. Love the comment your dad left in the YouTube chat. It looks like the Detroit Catholic League is the toughest football league, top to bottom, in Michigan high school football, the SEC of high school football, if you will. Joe, I don't know if SEC quite hits the same today as it does once upon a time, but it's more like the Big Ten of high school football. I'll give you that. It is
Yeah,
brutal.
I mean,
It is brutal.
I don't know if you really want to say the SEC of football because they complain a lot. More on Sankey and Lane Kiffin later because, man, are they just butthurt about this whole thing. I mean, you would think, like, we committed, like, an act of war of winning, like, 3 straight national championships, the Big Ten, that is. I'm not even, like, I don't like the Big Ten, personally. When it comes to the Big Ten, I'm not a root for the conference type of guy. Like, I hate that. I absolutely despise that. But I guess if it helps the argument against the SEC because they get so butthurt so bad and they root for the conference. Like, obviously, I don't want to see Ohio State ever win a national championship. I don't even want to see Indiana win a national championship. But, like, I will say them, I guess, winning it and kind of makes up for it because of the pain that it brings the SEC fans because, like, I don't know. It's just weird behavior. I don't understand how you can root for a rival to win a national championship because, hey, it makes the conference look good. Dude, I'm not here for the conference. I'm here for my team.
Yeah.
God, it's so weird.
And
it's so weird.
the growing up though, like it really was the reign of dominance for the SEC really got obviously before the NIL era, right? When they were using all the different means that they were using.
They were paying
to pay
people
players.
before.
Right. It had the same feeling as like when we talk about the Knicks coming up in a little bit. It's like, even if you're good enough to get out of the East, like you still have to face a team from the West that you know damn well you probably aren't going to beat. And that's what the SEC was. Like, it didn't matter how good you were in the Big Ten. It didn't matter how good you would have to go toe to toe with those guys. And like I said, before that Rose Bowl, Notre Dame's last crack at Alabama destroyed. Last time Michigan State played Bama, that's what started the downward spiral for that football program. I don't think people realize, like, getting shut out that bad in that big of a game, that was really kind of marked the end of like the D'Antonio era. And then obviously you spin off into, everything else that happened after the fact and the Mel Tucker drama. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say like Bama ended Michigan State football.
Well, they kind of did.
Certainly, I kind of felt that way. Kind of like when Michigan like made Saban retire. I don't know if that's the reason why Saban retired, but I think he looked around the college football landscape and went, man, this is changing at a dizzying pace. And I just lost to Michigan. Like, I think it might be time to wrap it up a little bit. So yeah, it's just it's amazing how a loss like that can have a domino effect.
My little bit of rage bait, my last bit of rage bait until we get into the FIFA subpoena now, which, by the way, did not know that's how you spell subpoena before today. I didn't know the B. There was a B in there.
Thank God for spell check.
But, by the way, just so you know, Nate and I both have scored the same amount of points as Michigan State in a college football playoff game, and they've made one appearance.
Yep. So, I mean, I guess there's an argument. Hey, we got there, but I mean, it was not pretty. Let me just put it that way. But thank God we live in a world in which I wouldn't say it's all fair and equal now because we still have NIL. But hey, man, I think it was a Michigan State grad that invented NIL. So, let's get on the train, right? I think even everybody at Michigan State would all agree. Like, we got to spend more money to keep up with the times. Yes, you do. Yeah, I don't think we're telling any tales out of school here. You need to step it up. So anyways, let's get into that second part of our conversation here. New York and New Jersey announcing yesterday that they have subpoenaed FIFA as a part of an investigation into its ticketing prices for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, citing soaring prices and reports that fans were misled about seat locations. It was the Attorney General, Latita James, who I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, New Jersey Attorney General Jennifer Davenport said in a news release that their offices are seeking internal information about how FIFA sold tickets to the 8 World Cup matches scheduled to take place in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, including the final coming up on July the 19th. It's just, obviously, it's been something that New Yorkers have been waiting for forever, and you could say New Jersey too. And obviously, we know how popular the sport is in that area, and I think it's important to keep in mind this is the first year that they used a dynamic pricing model. Yeah. So Qatar was the last time that they had used the old model. Now they use it based on demand, and we can blame the resale market. Obviously, that's something that's going to drive up prices. I do think it's a little cheap that FIFA is benefiting on those resale tickets. So it's almost as if they are promoting people to, hey, go out and resell these tickets for $1 billion. We'll take a chunk of it, but we'll let you keep the rest of it. But
low-key
the drama continues.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
game is game.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, kind of respect it.
Right, but that's deception. That's still not.
I know, but like,
not good business practice.
I probably would.
But anyways,
I'm like, yeah, you could. I don't know. I didn't know that it actually didn't happen before. I thought everyone always got a chunk out of it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But your initial takeaways from what we've seen out of New York and New Jersey and what they've said about FIFA and tickets.
I mean, it's been the same thing. I'm just going to harp the same things that we've been saying for the last couple of months. Nothing's really changed outside of the fact I didn't know that's how you spell subpoena. That's really the only time. It's the only new thing that I learned about this whole thing. But, right. I mean, we know FIFA's corrupt. We know every organization's corrupt. We've known this. Like, this is something that's not new. I didn't know that this is the first time, like, they were going to change into dynamic pricing. I'm sure this is going to be the last thing. I will also, echo the same thing I've been saying is we are fit to still host the World Cup. Let's not kid ourselves here. If I'm FIFA or I'm a host nation and my biggest issue is ticket prices compared to the last 3 World Cups, I'm pretty good. I'm fine with that based on the last couple of World Cups. But do I think it's fair? No. I think tickets as a whole just aren't fair. I think tickets, concerts or football games or NBA game, like you're telling me Game 7 of the Cavs versus Pistons Pistons Cavs LCA is like $500 for the nosebleeds. Look, sitting in LCA to watch a Pistons game in the top bowl, one of the worst experiences ever. I mean, it's horrible. Like, it's not designed for basketball. I understand why, because they just wanted to find a cheap place to play the games. I get it.
They're like, hey, let's join you guys.
Yeah, this is a hockey designed arena. How about we just, hang out with you guys?
Slide in there. Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think just tickets as a whole are overall just aren't fair. I think everywhere you go, I think everyone would agree. I'm glad that someone's kind of trying to investigate a little bit, because I do think how in the beginning there was the set categories, and now obviously we're seeing the categories kind of be differentiated right now, where it's like, yeah, I know you bought tickets to sit here, but now we're gonna move you way higher up, but you're gonna still pay the same price. That's the issue I have in all of this, because once the first batch of tickets went through, everyone was kind of happy with the way it was, because okay, well, now we found our spot. Then FIFA's like, well, no one's really buying tickets, so let's now move them around, because now we need to recategorize everything so we get more people to buy it. I guess that's the issue now that I'm having it, because once you buy the ticket, you buy the ticket. I think that's it. Once you buy the ticket, you're sitting in the same spot. If you get moved, it better be in the same row, maybe a couple seats over. Maybe you get moved up. I don't know. That's the only issue I have in it all. But I just think tickets as a whole, just as a massive fraud. I think it's a massive, I just think it's, you're just robbing the real fans. And that's what I say about, the NFL games where we go overseas, and it's like you're robbing the real fans of a true game. And I think that you're priced. I think the real fan has been priced out for at least a decade plus up to this point. You're telling me to go to a Lions regular season game against the Tennessee Titans, who are horrible. It's $500 to get one ticket to sit in the last row. I don't know. I just think tickets are horrible. And I think the biggest thing is, for me personally, I've always said, I said on the broadcast again yesterday, again, we are not winning a World Cup from the U.S. side of things. I'm going to go back to the U.S. men's national team here. We're not winning a World Cup. What I am more interested in this World Cup is the cultural effect. That is on the American people. That is the biggest thing I'm looking for, is what does this World Cup do for the American people? And pricing these fans out, pricing anyone that's just curious about, I don't know, just going to a game, seeing what the true environment's like. I'll tell you something. The only thing that might rival a soccer atmosphere, the only thing that might rival it is college football. And that doesn't even come close to it. I sat in a 15,000 back in 2022. Yeah, fall 2022. USA versus El Salvador. I sat at the top at the Columbus Crew Stadium to watch a World Cup qualifier. That is the best sporting atmosphere I've ever been in, hands down. And I've been inside the Big House. I've been inside Chrysler. I've been to Ford Field. I've been to state championship games for football. That is the best environment. And anyone wants to finally experience that and will finally realize that I've been right for years, is that this environment's way better. You're pricing those people out, and we might not get that cultural impact that we need to help grow the game in this country. That's just my biggest thing, is we're going to get those people that are just curious, because if I don't like the sport, or if I'm just kind of interested in seeing what the sport's about, and I got to pay $500 plus to go see something, not even the best game, I ain't going. I ain't interested anymore. So that's just my biggest thing, is I want to see the real fans and the people that, may get moved by this, persuaded in becoming a soccer fan. That's my biggest thing.
We are pricing out the real fan. That has been an issue. It continues to be an issue. And like I said in my last video, comparing what Gianni Infantino, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his name.
I don't know. He's got a weird head.
Bother me a whole lot. The Jeff Bezos of the soccer world, if you will. But his comparison to, well, normally you don't pay anything less than $300 to get into any American sporting event, comparing that to what he said. I even said then, like, this tournament is not necessarily as a whole going to be affected by a lot of this drama. It's still going to be popular. There's still going to be people who are flooding these locations. I show you that video of Mercedes-Benz Stadium that looks beautiful and ready to go for the World Cup. The issue here, it's always something that I go back to, is just it's the genuineness and the honesty of all of it. And that's what I was kind of referring to when I made that video once upon a time. There is a lack of understanding when it comes to FIFA and exactly the people that they're dealing with in the situation. And I love the quote in the article that I'm reading I was reading this one out of ESPN, put this one out today, quote, "Being honest about ticket sales is not complicated, but FIFA's turned buying a ticket to the World Cup into a gauntlet of confusion, fake scarcity, and impossibly high prices." If you were to give me two people, and I think I've made this comparison before, right? Give me someone who is like chronically nice, always has a positive attitude, nothing's ever wrong, and then give me a person who is just brutally honest and always themselves. I will take the latter in this situation, because the thing is about honesty, it's the most important thing in the world, because everybody knows what they're going to get out of you, whether that's good, whether that's bad, whether that's in between. If you're honest and genuine, I know exactly what to expect from you, and I can navigate and make my decisions accordingly. So if FIFA were to come out initially and be like, hey, here's the ticket prices, and they were ridiculously high the way that they are, but it was honest and transparent, and hey, if you buy the tickets, here's what you get, here's where you are, no other hoops to jump through, nothing else to consider, that would be one thing, right? Because we would still complain about ticket prices. I mean, I complain about ticket prices to everything, man. Lions games, like, you're telling me I got to go to the West Coast to see the cheapest game this year? That's ridiculous, true. Okay? I am always going to complain about ticket prices. You ain't ever going to take that away from me or anybody else for that matter. Because the truth is regardless of where you go, they're going to be extremely expensive. But that's not the problem. The problem is that FIFA sold these tickets, or in many situations, like we were talking about with the dynamic pricing model and all that stuff, sell them, and then either they move you, or maybe they weren't being completely genuine about where in the stadium that you are, or they're creating this illusion of scarcity in order to get more money out of people. Just all of these different things, benefiting off of the resale market. All of these different little tricks in order to get absolutely as much money as they can out of the Americans. And the fundamental issue here is that if FIFA wants to grow this sport in the United States, the problem in my mind with where the whole ticket dilemma is that you have not shown the American audience that they are fans of this game, or that you are trying to get actual fans of this game into the building. You look at Americans as nothing more than just consumers in little mini banks in order to make as much money on as you humanly can. And I understand that entertainment itself is more developed here in the United States than anywhere else around the world. Why do you think they sing the songs that many American performers, come up with here in the United States? Why are they international stars? Why is it that Sum 41, who used to be a legendary band here in the United States in the early 2000s, like Green Day-esque, why are they like the hottest thing ever over in Japan? Why do a lot of these old American artists go anywhere else around the world and they all know their songs, they all love them, and then they get right back to superstar status? Because the U.S., in terms of entertainment, in terms of sports, in terms of drama and Hollywood, it is the mecca in terms of entertainment in the world. I get that, right? But it doesn't mean that there aren't true, genuine, 9-to-5, blue-collar, honest, hardworking sports fans who just want to get the opportunity to go see their teams. And whether that be, the Cleveland Browns, shout out Kevin Arnold, whether that be us with going to watch a random Tigers game. So we just want to see our teams.
You can get down for like $5 now. That team sucks.
Well, that's true. That is true. But we are genuine fans, and so we just want to see our team. And I think we saw from the response to the U.S. debuting their roster, there are genuine soccer fans that exist in this country. That's the hard thing, is that when you just look at them as, again, little mini banks in order to make as much money as you humanly can, that doesn't necessarily to me scream, hey, we want to grow the sport. And maybe that's not FIFA's priority, to be completely honest with you. Maybe we're more focused on growing the sport in the United States, whereas FIFA's like, this is a chance for us to make more money, which, they asked our president whether or not he would spend the money for $1,000 on a ticket. And he's like, I don't know if I would. So, that should tell you something. Like, even the people who do have the means to go, if they're not diehard fans, a lot of them, if they are going to go, it's just for the vanity component. It's just for the
IG,
be able to take pictures and exactly for the social media side of it, which is not going to get the environment that you want. So that's where it's really hard for me is the honesty and the transparency from FIFA in all of this. Yeah, exactly.
So a couple of good comments coming in. Felix 2 says, I got the best view of the games from my couch. Yeah, a lot of people would agree. The best viewing spot is for some people is from their couch. Baco says, true. It will hopefully grow the sport. For one, this is a good one from Fabian. Awesome statement. I wish it can replace hockey as one of the 4 sports in the U.S. However, I think hockey might be on the up just based on the Olympics that just happened that we just saw. Again, hockey's very expensive to get into in terms of plane travel and the equipment and everything. It's a very niche sport, I would say. But
they're playing Canada again in the Worlds.
Oh, are they?
I don't know when that game's coming up. That might be tonight. But, yeah, they're playing them again. It's just a bunch of AHLers. It's not our best players.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even – I haven't been following any – I literally only watch hockey if, the Red Wings are playing or I'm commentating a game. That's really about it. But I would love for it to replace hockey or baseball or something, the sport of soccer. And I feel like, it's growing a ton of popularity, but you've got to have that moment. You've got to have that, again, not saying win the whole thing because we're not, if we win the whole thing, the world might end, period. Because, oh my God, the Americans have figured out soccer too. It's the one sport we could get them on. But if we're able to just get to a quarterfinals or a semifinals, that's going to captivate a nation. And that's the cultural effect I'm talking about. If we go out there, get grouped, that's okay. So 1994, Alexi Lala said we just didn't want to embarrass ourselves. We just wanted to tell everyone we could at least hang around a little bit. They make the round of 16, they lose. Now I feel like it's in 2026. Fast forward, just about 30 years or so. Now it's got to be, how do we get people to believe in us? How do we get people to, instead of that random U.S. men's national team World Cup qualifier on a Tuesday night, how do we get them to, instead of watching the NBA or the MLB or the NHL, whoever's playing, we get them to tune into that game instead of that regular season game? How do we get that? And it's making a run. It's simple. We talked about it back in, I don't even know when the gold medal was, February, when they won it. What is the U.S. men's national team gold medal moment? I think it is getting to a quarterfinal or a semifinal. How do we captivate a nation? And we have it in our own backyard. If we get grouped, we might as well just stop playing the game of soccer. Let's just quit. Let's just all just become international European fans or something. But, yeah, no, we just got to captivate everyone. And I also think getting people inside the stadiums and just watching is going to help grow the game of soccer here. I don't think we have to put pamphlets in the stands anymore about what the rules are and everything. So I think we've definitely improved since 94. Right. But hey, man, we gotta captivate everyone here.
We got an Arsenal pep rally coming up on the other side of the show here on Inside the Game as we get ready for that UCL championship. That's coming up next, and we'll also make sure we touch on Mauricio Pochettino, some rumors about him leaving for AC Milan post-World Cup. I don't know why people are so surprised about this news necessarily. What you got? I forgot.
Bronny obviously is in the chat, in the TikTok chat. He says Infantino is a shark. He saw us and saw money. And I said, Bronny, can't your dad just take you? Your dad's LeBron James. Yeah. He makes like $50 million a year, right?
I hear he's cheap though. Even for being
really?
For being a billionaire, which I think he's a billionaire right now. He has like over $1 billion in career earnings, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but I hear he's cheap as you can be for a billionaire, whatever that looks like.
I don't know what that looks like. You ever see that one skit?
But hey, if you ask LeBron, I'm sure he's the biggest soccer fan ever, and that's ever lived. Because
I did see that. Yeah, LeBron, he hasn't played in the team in like 3 years. Bronny also mentions solution. Stop this crazy academy where you pay $75K plus to play to develop players. Let's adopt what everyone is doing. Pay the young players when they are kids, like Europe does. He's talking about the scholarships and everything. Well, I mean, technically there's scholarships in college soccer, but I don't know.
Which they're trying to build that into more of a pathway. I mean, they're trying to build college soccer into more of a pathway with the schedule change and all the other things that we talked about. Brian Weiss saying those things on our show was still crazy. I thought that's one of our best interviews we've ever done.
I just love
how honest
that
and transparent he was.
He was barking about conference realignment. He's like, it's dumb. Like, that was my favorite part. Like, that was like, thank God we have an adult in the room. We have someone that actually knows what he's talking about.
Well, the funny thing is the rest of the Big East, I'm sure, would be like, yeah, what this guy is saying completely 100%. Yes,
because, I still think that in a couple years, the conference realignment will go back, except football. I think football is, it's money. It's going to make the most money. That's going to be fine. But, your baseball team, say you're University of Oregon or something, you got to go travel to Michigan for maybe 2 weeks because you would have the weekend series against the Wolverines and maybe the weekend series against Michigan State the next time. And maybe you're playing maybe you're playing Central Michigan in midweek or something. I don't know. But that's just dumb to me. And then when I talked to Jasmine Ike, who is Stanford, but obviously Stanford's in the ACC, and I'm like, what was conference realignment like for you? And she's like, well, we got the benefit of being able to take our one trip for the year to before the season starts. But I'm out there for she's like, well, I'm out there for a week and a half and it's like, luckily I don't have to deal with the school aspect of it, but it's still a little difficult. So we just need adults to do adult things sometimes. And I don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk about Arsenal and PSG coming up next right here on 295 Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Hey, look at that one.
Our number one. Ooh,
much better.
Yeah,
transition.
that was a better transition. Good job. Good job. We're gonna work on that one. We got getting into our next topic of our conversation here in our number one inside the game. Arsenal and PSG facing off in the UCL final. Arsenal's been great in Europe. They've been outstanding in Europe, actually unblemished in Europe. Does that mean that they will take down PSG? I will refer to my my passionate Arsenal fan and co-host. Some may call him Slappy from time to time. That is Ryan Glinsky. Ryan, what are your takeaways from this matchup?
We're gonna win. That's everything I need to say. All right, moving on. Mauricio Pochettino.
Hey, man.
No,
hey, man. Straight up, I like it.
I firmly believe and everyone has been calling me crazy. Even my friends, I'm sure people. Once we post this clip on social media, everyone will also call me crazy because no one wants to see us win. I think Arsenal's winning the Champions League. I really do. When I look at the strengths of this team, and I look at the strengths of, PSG and weaknesses on both sides, PSG, very opened up. They are very loose with the ball, I guess. It's very free-flowing. What does Arsenal do? Structurally sound. Defensively, they're so good. They've only given up, I think, 6 goals in the Champions League all. And I think the one goal they gave up in the knockouts was a PK to Atleti. Obviously, PKs can happen. But obviously, it's funny that we talked about the whole 2030, have Messi Jr. and Ronaldo Jr. in Team USA with Pep as the head coach. For sure. That only one can dream, Fabian. It's funny that my dad mentioned the whole Catholic League, and I actually told him this exact comparison. I think I mentioned it on the show already. PSG is like that inner city team with the 5-star wide receivers, the 5-star running backs, the 5-star DBs, the safeties, all over the place, the skill position players. Arsenal is, God, I don't even want to say it. Arsenal's a Catholic League team. Strong line of scrimmage, defensive line, offensive line. Stout in every aspect. Tackle great. They do all the little small things that help you win football games really well. And what happens normally when the Catholic League gets together with an inner city team? Typically they win. And they typically win comfortably because they do all the little things. That's what we have here today. You can throw out the Ousmane Dembélés. You can throw out the Emerys. You can throw out the Kvaratskhelia. But I'm telling you who's on the other side that's going to lock them both up. Timber might. Calafiori might. Mascara might. Gabriel Saliba, Raya. I mean, do I want to go over the defense? I mean, Declan Rice. In the midfield. As much as I love Vitinha and all those guys. I mean, Arsenal's midfield is big. They're Declan Rice. Miles Lewis-Kelly isn't that big, but Eze, big. They're going to dominate the midfield. They really will. Dad, attaboy. Finally, you're seeing things my way. Yeah, Dad, I'm great. I hate that I had to give him some love there. But that's what I see. And I think when it comes to Arsenal, do people forget that they beat Bayern Munich this year? The only reason why everyone thinks PSG is going to walk away with this title is because of what happened last round with both teams. I'll tell you why it all happened last round. PSG doesn't have to play anybody in their league. It's literally like if it's Gonzaga. It's Gonzaga in basketball. They just have to sleepwalk the entire league. The only thing that matters is the tournament. That's the only thing that truly matters. That's the only time they're going to get tested. They get to rest all of their players. Bayern Munich is free-flowing as it comes. Everyone's fresh, so you're going to get the best game. Arsenal has to beat Atletico, who puts 10 behind the ball no matter what. It's going to be low scoring. They were battling at the time on winning a Premier League title, which they did. More on that in a second. But that's the reason everyone thinks it. It's the sex appeal. It's, oh my God, it's so sexy because they scored 10 million goals. They're running up and down the field. Yet, Arsenal still is in the same spot. Do people also forget that Arsenal could have easily beat PSG if they put their chances away? I know, easier said than done. But if they put their chances away, I see Arsenal in the Champions League final last year. But they didn't put their chances away. However, this year they've been much more clinical in front of goal. Now, this is the biggest part why I think Arsenal's going to win. What has been the biggest monkey on their back in the last, I would say, since 2022? Because that's when things really got going. They can't win anything. Can't win any major trophies. They bottle the league. They lose the Prem. They lose the Carabao Cup final. They haven't won since an FA Cup in 2020 with the social experiment squad. Still don't know how we won something, and we beat really good teams to get there. They got that monkey off the back. I think we're going to see I don't want to say a free-flowing Arsenal team, but I think we're going to see a calm. I think we're going to see a composed. We're going to see a not tight Arsenal team because now Arteta knows I got the Premier League trophy in my back pocket. Successful season, but we want more. And I also think the best thing is all the partying that they did, the severe partying that they did, happened already a week ago because they won it last Tuesday or Wednesday. I forget what day. They already did all their partying. Yeah, I'm sure they partied a little bit on Sunday, but they already got all the main stuff out. They got going into the clubs. They got staying out till 5, 6 a.m. out of the way. They're relaxed. They're calm. They're going to be composed. As long as they continue to do their things right, I think Arsenal walk away with a Champions League trophy. and then the world is going to end. Because see, if we're winning in like the 90th minute, like 2-0, I think the world's going to end right then and there. Because no one, we've already seen what a Premier League trophy has: 100,000 people partying from like 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next day. Could you imagine the first ever European trophy? Well, since like the 70s. Could you imagine that, Dave? Arsenal set piece FC, bro. Come on now. Spain league is tougher than Germany and France. I would agree with that. And English is also the better league, bro. Dave, chill on the set piece FC. By the way, Austin Trusty, Scottish Premiership champion, Austin Trusty on the U.S. Men's National Team World Cup roster. So I thought I'd throw that in there, Dave. Thought throw that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think we're winning.
No.
I think we're winning.
I don't think there's any hangover effect when it comes to Arsenal, because at this point they're just playing with house money. They won the Prem. They're in the best position that they can be. It really is. They have nothing to lose. Of course they have something to lose, right? But I think the mentality right now for this club is that of they don't have anything to lose because they already won the Prem, right? And so that's not to say that this is a throwaway game. That's not to say that this is a match that in which they don't care and they're not invested, because they absolutely are. But there has been no one that, to your point, again, just building off of what you said, that has challenged PSG in a way that Arsenal can, in which Arsenal's strengths kind of cancel out exactly what PSG does. And when you look at their run up to where they've gotten, I mean, high scoring, wild, getting forward, their ability to win those one-on-one matchups, especially with their wingers to create space. I mean, it's just wreaked havoc on certain clubs, but Arsenal's built better than anybody else to be able to handle something like that. Circling back on your Catholic League comment though, like, I don't know, man, Detroit MLK, Tech, I don't know. They might give you a fight. Just saying. You know, you give me King and you give me Detroit Catholic Central. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I've seen enough. I've seen enough up close and personal. I've seen enough. I've seen those things go down. And I do want to put this out there as well. I mentioned I didn't know the exact aggregate. I completely forgot what the exact aggregate was.
Yeah.
But we only lost 3-1 last year across 2 games. We both 1-goal defeats. And if we had a damn striker last season, we might have been in the final. I'm just saying. I know a lot of what ifs. Yeah. I understand that. And obviously they took their chances. They won. But I'm telling you, this game is going to be a lot. It's the same thing what Indiana Miami had in the national championship game. Everyone thought Indiana by 3+ scores. And I see the spread at 10.5, and I'm like, it's going to be less than that. Because why? Because Miami had a defensive line and an offensive line. That's why. And Miami's defensive line was unbelievable. What does Arsenal have? A back line and a strong defensive midfield. They're going to make it tough. Everyone loves the scorelines. Like, everyone loved Indiana. Mendoza, touchdown, 5 touchdowns in the first half, whatever. They just put it on. Yeah, they did. But they forgot to realize while Miami was, like, struggling to get past every team offensively, people forgot that defensively they're giving up this many points. That's it? They gave up 7 points to Ohio State? That's it? Like, people are forgetting what everyone I feel like in sports is so just enthused by the scoreline. How many touchdowns? How many points? How many goals? Where they forget to realize what is the biggest thing? What's the important thing that has happened since the age of sports? Defense. I don't know. The small things that need to happen, and Arsenal does all the small things correctly. PSG, you can have the flair. You can have the 5-star winger. You can have the 5-star forwards. Defensively, you're a little shaky. And when it comes to set pieces, they're not physical in the box like Arsenal is. They're not physical.
Yeah. Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised if we score off corner again. Just saying. If they put the top 4 teams in 5 leagues for one season with 35 games, you would see who is a top dog. No, we don't want the Super League, Fabian. We don't want the Super League. Stop putting it out there. The Super League is dumb. You already tried that, and it failed miserably.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, exactly.
And they were going to put Arsenal in that. They were going to put the social experiment Arsenal team in that. Yeah, because that makes total sense. They were like 15th in the league that year, and then they somehow made its way to 8th. No, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Don't bring in the Super League.
Yeah, it's not even worth it at that point. And again, they've already tried it, so I don't really understand the logic behind. Hey,
we got
let's try it again.
A new person commenting. Turts Turts
Ooh.
MM, we are winning the Champions League. Damn it. Yes, we are, Turts. We are winning the Champions League. We are. We are.
Got
I'm
all your
simply
fanboys.
I simply do not see a pathway where we lose. I can't. Unless all of a sudden we go down to 10 men like we did in 2006 with our goalkeeper Jens Lehmann, which he told David Raya after the game. He's like, could you just play a full 90 minutes unlike I did in the Champions League final back in 06? Yeah, as long as we don't go down to 10 men, I really feel like we're winning. This isn't a slappy. By the way, I've been correct about every single Champions League prediction up to this point in time. There's my background.
All right. He's putting it on the table, y'all. He's letting you know he's calling his shot. And surprisingly, he says his team's going to win. So that is the prediction. I love how we've completely gone from like a level of superstition with you when it comes to Arsenal.
Because I
and
saw
not
the
being
first
willing to
one.
get
Once you see the first one go in, well, the first trophy lift, it was the same thing with Man City back in 2012, which, by the way, that Aguero moment is still the most overrated moment in all of soccer. QPR gave up. They're like, okay, we're safe. We're all good. Who cares what we do? Let's hug with the Man City players after the game. Dude, you just gave up the lead. And Joey Barton got sent off, too. That's also another reason why. But once you see the first trophy lift, and that is what's been haunting them forever, and now that they finally realize they can win stuff, and that big bad Pep Guardiola, I'm telling you, I think Arsenal's going to also be a dynasty. More on that, maybe a little time. I think Arsenal's going to be a dynasty. More on that later. But if I had Kool-Aid, I would totally drink it.
Yeah.
But I don't have Kool-Aid here. So.
Oh, man. Well, let's bring it with us tomorrow, or maybe not tomorrow. Let's bring it coming up on Monday. Maybe we can drink the Kool-Aid for the U.S. men's national team in the World Cup, which, speaking of which, let's talk about Mauricio Pochettino on the other side of this timeout, potentially on his way to AC Milan after the World Cup, already making plans. It almost kind of feels like the college football playoffs a little bit when everyone's considering their next moves. But let's take a break here. Barca Academy is a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States, designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18. Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. Again, that's FCB30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca Camp, I sing my song Grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca Camp.
You're watching Inside the Game here on the National Soccer Network. It's 295. You got another comment on our way back in here, Ryan?
Yeah.
Anybody else drop
Felix 2. I think I'm saying it right. Again, he drops a comment. It's a great comment. I mean, it's American soccer's like biggest issue is more Americans like Arsenal than the U.S. men's national team. I would probably say so. I also think more people hate Arsenal more than they actually like the U.S. men's national team. So I think both things could be true. And I think what happened yesterday, according to, I forget, I have the tweet somewhere, but according to that tweet, I mean, this is going to make people hate the U.S. men's national team and not even like them even more. So,
Yeah, well, the reality is that, and this is the thing that's deceiving about when we talk about popularity and numbers of people consuming this sport. We always want to like make comparisons to hockey and make comparisons to baseball. And while it's technically more popular than baseball is, if you were to look at the numbers, but I mean, we've always talked about this, right? Like you can take numbers and twist them exactly how you want to in order to sell something, to sell an idea that, hey, look at how popular it is, while also ignoring the fact that in reality, that's not true. Soccer is becoming very popular. However, American consumers are not watching American soccer. They are watching what's happening in Europe, right? They are
That's the
watching
best
Arsenal.
product.
They're watching the Premier League, the Champions League, because it is the top product in the world. Yes, absolutely. But they're not necessarily all rallying around their local MLS squad or their USL squad,
Mhm.
which honestly, they're trying to change that, right? And that's why we're seeing what the USL is doing and implementing Pro Rel, and that's why we see more of a community focus, especially from these academy leagues, so that we can try to build that American foundation of the fan base. Because right now, they all love watching the European game. They don't love watching the American game. So that's why the whole popularity thing can be a little bit confusing,
Yeah.
because I'm not sure how, like, a guy who's 37 years old, who's has a wife and two kids, is just sitting on his couch watching Premier League games. I don't know how that necessarily moves the needle for USA Soccer. No offense to Ted, all right, but I don't know how that necessarily moves the needle for American soccer. So
Yeah.
I can certainly see what he's trying to get at there with his comment.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Dave says, speaking of likes, 5 likes and 7 people watching currently right now. Yeah, smash the like button there, everyone. Shout out Dave for putting it out there. If you haven't liked, subscribe, follow, I don't know, do all those certain things. I don't know where we're all streaming, but where everyone. This guy says.
Yeah.
This guy says Davis back in an Instagram chat. It's so difficult sometimes to get all of these different chats. It's PSG all the way for sure, buddy. But I would also like to see, because I think the European fans also do it better in terms of the basketball atmosphere. I'm curious to see because I think basketball is the only comparable to soccer and American soccer and European soccer fans, whatever. I think it's the only comparable is what do the European basketball fans rather watch? Would they rather watch their own league, or would they rather watch the NBA in college basketball? Like, obviously, we've seen the watch parties in the NBA finals when Jokic was in the finals, and you had like his hometown or village, whatever it was, and they were staying up to like 3 a.m. to watch Jokic play. But Serbia obviously is still dominated by soccer, but do those Serbian fans, are they walking around with, Anthony Edwards or Jokic or LeBron James jerseys? I imagine mainly Jokic, but maybe there's some kids that are wearing LeBron James jerseys rather than their local basketball team. So, I haven't searched that. I'm actually really curious now that we're talking about it to search it up. But what do the European basketball fans watch? Are they, basketball might be growing, but is it for them? Are they strictly just watching the NBA, or are they watching their local teams? I mean, I know their home atmospheres are way better than the NBA. I don't know if you've seen those videos, but I mean, it seems like they probably would watch both. That's just my guess.
I mean, they won't even give you the tops to the Gatorades anymore. They take those off when you get those at Little Caesars Arena. So I can't imagine they would allow flares in the building. Maybe I'm wrong with all this, but that is the security around American venues, understandably so. And I even think our European friends would understand this component, that it's a little bit more tight knit in terms of what you can bring into the stadium. You can't even bring cameras into the stadium anymore unless you have some sort of pre-pass something that allows you to do that. But no, I mean, I think it's the same as like when you talk about like baseball in Japan, but the truth is that baseball is extremely popular there. They also just, at the same time, they love watching Major League Baseball. But no, you're right. I mean, would they rather? Yes, absolutely. But I think it means more to have someone there that actually represents that country, as opposed to just, watching it because it's the best players.
It does look like they do watch the NBA more than the EuroLeague. So that could be the same thing.
Yeah.
And I guess they even watch more of, again, I'm not going to go deep into the article right now to read it, but I guess according to this article from Emmett Ryan, I think he looks like a EuroLeague basketball reporter, says that things have not been going well in terms of their viewership for their playoffs right now. They're watching the NBA playoffs rather than the EuroLeague playoffs. So, yeah, no, I guess same thing could be said about the European basketball fan. So,
Yeah.
again, I don't think there's enough numbers out there to support it fully, but there's a little taste.
Yeah. Certainly an argument. But let's get into this next topic that we wanted to discuss. Mauricio Pochettino interviewing about a vacancy at AC Milan. Could potentially be on the move after the World Cup to go join Milan, get back into the club scene. And Ryan, I'll kind of let you get your thoughts in here, but very quickly, this is not a shock to me. I'm a little surprised if it would be a shock to anybody else necessarily. We kind of had an idea that this would be the case for Mauricio Pochettino. He's already considered other positions. He's already looked at other spots. He's already been in touch with different clubs. Pochettino was not a long-term option for the U.S. men's national team. He was someone who was brought in because we didn't think Greg Berhalter was up to doing what he needed to do to bring this squad to the next level. But what says you about, okay, I'll take it from here. Listen, U.S. men's national team fans, I'll just ask you a simple question, right? And I was just on a radio show recently where they always have their huge question of the day. And I know we have our question of the day here on this show, but my question of really the soccer portion of this conversation when it comes to Mauricio Pochettino, are you surprised? Like that's straight up and down. Are you surprised if you're an American soccer fan? Because there's really no part of me that is at all surprised with seeing this. Mostly because I never saw personally, and I think American soccer and USA soccer in general would be kidding themselves if they said this, because I don't believe they thought it for a moment, that Mauricio Pochettino was a long-term option for this team. I know we've listed off the stat of no foreign-born coach has ever won a World Cup. I think a lot of that just comes down to happenstance, luck, maybe a bad
bounce. There's also been like 10
something of the
different
sort.
winners in the history.
And there's also been, yeah, exactly, right? So I don't think you can just necessarily say that, well, that's the case, so we'll never win it. First of all, the conversation is not about winning the World Cup. The conversation is more about getting someone into that position who actually more closely understands the American pyramid, or lack thereof a pyramid, who has more familiarity with these players, and frankly, just has a better understanding of how this game moves and breathes in the United States versus everywhere else around the world. Like, all of those things when it comes to appointing not just a manager for the U.S. men's national team, but in a lot of ways, someone who has control over all of the different moving elements and scouting the different players and putting forth the best lineup that you can. I mean, it was Mauricio Pochettino when he came in, he was the new kid in class. And he had so much to learn and so much to clean up from Greg Berhalter that we brought him in with one goal in mind, and that is, hey, get us to a point, right, whip us into shape so that we're ready when the World Cup comes to our shores, so that we don't get embarrassed, so that we can get out of the group, we can put up a good fight, we can at least give the American fans some sort of hope, some sort of breath of life when the biggest tournament in the world comes here for the first time in 30 years. Mauricio Pochettino was a temporary installment. He was not a long-term option now or even in the future for the USA Soccer. Now, where do they go when he's gone? I don't know. That's going to be a big decision, and obviously it's going to depend on what happens in the World Cup. Do we go back to another European manager and try that again? Or do we swing the opposite direction? It's almost kind of like the two-party system, right? Sometimes you see these big oscillating swings from one side to the other because we think that if we bring this guy in, he's going to change everything. Well, then nothing changed there, so let's swing back the other direction. I see that same dilemma happening within USA Soccer, and we went from Greg Berhalter, right, who is American, who's been involved in USA Soccer for forever, who's like we talked about, like the cool uncle, you know what I mean? Like he wears the t-shirts and the J's, and he understands these guys, and he's been around them pretty much his whole life. Well, that didn't work out. So what do? We go out and get Mauricio Pochettino. Great resume. He did it at the club level. He's done it in Europe. He's been with some of the top squads, top clubs in the world. What happens in this World Cup will really decide what direction we go. Do we continue to go back to the well and get another European coach who, again, is probably on a different level than what a lot of our men's national teams players have been? Or do we go get someone who's a little bit closer to the source? Someone like a Jesse Marsh, although I don't believe Jesse Marsh would ever be willing to come back and coach the U.S. men's national team. And I think there might be a rift there between USA Soccer and him. But no, are you surprised? To answer my own question, no, Ryan, I'm not surprised. I think Mauricio Pochettino came in to serve one job, and that is get this team to a point to where they don't embarrass themselves in the World Cup, because that's the most important thing in USA Soccer right now.
I would say I'm surprised at the timing. That's what I'm surprised about. I said he was going to leave a long time ago. I am just surprised at the timing and where it's at right now. I mean, because
that's fair.
My biggest issue is you're announcing this. By the way, I got this from Nicolo Shira, who tweeted about this last night. Mauricio Pochettino will leave USA national team after World Cup. He's been offered to AC Milan in the last couple of hours. Oh yeah, a couple other comments in this one as well. Dave, for me, I watch football wherever I can. It annoys me when the game I want to watch is behind in subscription wall. Apple, Prime, HBO. I've been watching some of the USL games on YouTube. You can watch USL 2 and USLW games on Sports Engine Play for free. Maybe hear a couple of voices. Caden Vlogs says Poch definitely gone after the World Cup. Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I'm just more upset at the timing because, again, I thought he was gone around November time anyway. That's personally what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
But the issue is this is coming out 2 weeks before the World Cup. 2 weeks before the World Cup. By the way, question of the day, I'll answer. Well, that'll be who do we think should manage the national team? But I just think when it comes to Bradley Carnell, isn't he the Union coach? Isn't he? Oh, I think he just got fired from Union. Union suck. Don't be mentioning that, Felix. Don't be asking that question. No, he just got fired. I'm just mad at the timing because now that I don't. It's like Ben Johnson when he was with the Lions. Like, we know you're going to the Bears, but you kind of have a playoff game that's going on, and now I'm like, if he's gonna take the AC Milan job, I mean, he's got to do a little bit of a retooling. You might have to. He's got to identify his transfer targets. He's got to identify who he wants to sell, who he wants to keep. So is his head now in that space because he knows where he's going next? Look, I think Pochettino was brought here simply to just not get us embarrassed on the world stage. Yeah. But I thought he would have been gone in November. So it's like, are you even focused now on the U.S. men's national team World Cup job? I don't think he is anymore. Now I think it is just a random, well, we'll put the team out. I'll give it the old college try. But, like, no, I need you to be solely focused on what is going to happen right now here in the next couple of weeks. You got Senegal, you got Germany to lead up. Caden, you said, what's your expectations for these friendlies? Don't look like you did in the last window. That's basically my expectations. Don't get destroyed. It's basically what I have to say my expectations are for that one. Look watchable. Look like you did back in the fall. That's what I would say. Japan, Australia, Ecuador, Paraguay, those all games. Look like that. But now I don't know if his head is fully in the U.S. men's national team job. I don't know if he's fully there now. And it feels like with the U.S. men's national team that this is a waste of time up to this point. It's been a total mess in terms of the coaching situation since the last World Cup. We fire Berhalter, then we magically bring him back. Crocker's now gone. And now we have Pochettino, who we brought in, who I thought was fine. He just didn't want to get us embarrassed. Now we might leave before the World Cup. I don't know if his head's in it. To answer your question, though, do we go back to an American or do we go back into a European? I think there's only one answer. There's only one European you go to, and that's Pep. Why? Because I don't think he wants to be part of the club game anymore. I think he just wants to manage an international team. He has won legitimately everything you could do. He's won the treble with Bayern. He's won the treble with Man City. He won the treble with Barcelona. He's won everything. La Liga, Bundesliga. I don't think he cares about going to Ligue 1. I think if he were to get an international job, I think that's the only thing he would really focus on because I think he's tired of the club game. I think he wants the part-time job, if you will. I think he just wants to be a part of that. And obviously he's not going to have, money, but maybe in terms of getting dual nats, maybe he's a little bit more influential in the dual nationals. Maybe he wants to recruit a little bit more. But I'm just upset at the timing. That's the only thing I'm upset about. Did I expect him to be here long term? No. I just expected him to be done in November, not when we are 15 days away from the World Cup. That's the only thing I'm upset about.
The only hard thing, though, is when these vacancies become open, it's like at the end of the regular season when we talk about college football, right? Because not everybody's in the playoffs.
No.
So some teams are done. And so the first thing you have to think of immediately when you fire is we have to strike while the iron's hot. Because that's where AC Milan is right now. We have to strike while the iron's hot. We have these options available to us. We need to pursue this. We need to make sure we get in their ear. We need to make sure that we talk about them and our expectations and what this is going to look like if we were to hire you at the club, regardless of the timing of the World Cup or where he is in his other professional ventures. You know, I always heard this. You don't give up a job in the hopes of getting another one. The only time you give up a job is when you have another one lined up. And for Mauricio Pochettino, if the goal was not to be with the U.S. men's national team long term, this is all meant to just set up what exactly he's going to do after this is all said and done. And it would be a different case if Poch was verbal about the fact that he wasn't planning on going anywhere. He's with this team and with this country for the long haul. At no point did he ever say that. And so I don't see this as like him misleading anybody. I think it just the timing of the story breaking is certainly unfortunate. I wouldn't even go as far as to say that he's distracted or that he doesn't care or that he's not focusing on what's going on. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate, but it just sucks that you can't have a meeting about a new job without it hitting the media. And we've seen this with American coaches. We saw this. How many years did we see this with Jim Harbaugh as Michigan fans?
Oh, my God. That was so annoying. Every year.
Harbaugh
to the NFL.
Right.
Harbaugh to the NFL.
Right. But, I mean, it's the same concept. And with it being so close to the World Cup, you know it's going to raise eyebrows. You know it's going to get people talking like, ooh, you know, he's not focused on the U.S. men's national team. I wouldn't say he's not focused on them. However, I will say, I think if you were to have listened to our show leading up to today, and if you had listened to other people who have not necessarily been in the Mauricio Pochettino camp, you knew that this move was coming. But if he doesn't interview for spots now, if he doesn't at least put his hat in the ring or at least try to put his best foot forward, you get to the end of the World Cup, there might not be anybody else left that's really clamoring for an opportunity to bring you into the club game. And his whole goal was to get back to the club game. So I think it's really going to be on the shoulders of the USA Soccer to, hey, we got to find someone who can do long term. And to your point about Pep, and I do think it's an interesting point. You talked about how he's won everywhere he's gone. I mean, if there's one person I want to put in a position of power with a club or with a nation, I should say, that has not had a reputation of winning and has had a historical reputation of choking, and getting a coach in there that is revered and respected around the game, who I think any of these dual nats, given the opportunity, would be like, yes, absolutely, play for Pep Guardiola. It's not even about the red, white, and blue. It's I get to play for Pep. You know, either I get to do that or go to whatever else country. Yeah, I'll take Pep Guardiola 99 times out of 100, even more than that. So I think to that point, you're absolutely right. But can USA Soccer, do they have the bargaining power to go up to someone like Pep, who has had the reign of dominance in European football and elsewhere around the world? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, but is money enough to convince him? That's all I'm saying. Because money can get you a lot, but
I think he could.
I don't know.
I think he could.
And maybe the ability to live in the United States. I'm sure he wouldn't mind having a place here too.
Yeah, I don't think he probably cares about that, because guess what? Again, why do you think soccer players like coming over here? No, they get away from everyone. No one knows who I am. Pep Guardiola is walking around. No one really gonna know who he is. You have Dan Campbell walking around. Everyone knows who Dan Campbell is. But probably Dan Campbell goes overseas. No one knows who Dan Campbell is in terms of walking around. Pep Guardiola, same thing. But I then think, back to the Pep Guardiola conversation, I look at a guy like Noah Kai Banks. Maybe Noah Kai Banks doesn't even think twice about maybe not representing the nation. Maybe he's like, Pep Guardiola, get to play with him. The connections he has, what he's done. I mean, I get to work alongside him. Yeah.
Think of
I'm
how
doing
that helps their professional. Yeah, think of how that helps their professional career too. And it's not just about Team USA. It's also about what does that set up for you everywhere else in your pro career. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
By the way, I know we haven't really talked about it on the show, but you know the last time Noah Kai Banks played a full 90 minutes? February. Last time he played a full 90 minutes for Augsburg. It felt like something when all the whole U.S. men's national team thing kind of came out. He's, I mean, I'm just saying, Dave, the money in all caps. Money is an issue. Does USA Soccer not have money? I feel like they probably have money, especially for the World Cup. But yeah, no, I would say.
What do you mean by an issue, Dave? What's the issue?
No, Dave said
curious.
the money. Caden says money is an issue. I don't know what
Caden says.
I don't know what the money
could
be an issue for. All I'm saying is, I'm sending it's a call you have to make, and I saw Alexi say it. You must make the call to Pep. You have to because he's out there. Even if he's like, no, not at all. I mean, you tried. I'd probably call again. To be honest with you, I mean. Yeah. Ward Manuel, Dusty May. Dusty May didn't want an interview for Michigan. Ward Manuel's like, how about this time? How about this time? How about this time? Fine. Gets it. National championship. Boom, in 2 years. Not saying we're going to win a World Cup in 2 tries, but just saying, I think you have to make the call to Pep because Pochettino, I think, is a guy that always wanted to go back into the club game because he hasn't won anything major, I guess. Hasn't won a Champions League. Didn't win the Prem. Pep has won everything. He don't want to go back to manage it. He doesn't want to do that. He just wants to hang out. And maybe Messi all of a sudden plays for the U.S. men's national team. I don't know. Maybe we finally get Messi Jr. because Pep Guardiola is the manager. Maybe we finally get Messi Jr. to be on the U.S. men's national team because, damn it, Pep's our head coach, and Messi's probably goes to his son play for USA. Caden, I think Pep will go to Spain, to be honest. I think Pep goes to Italy. That's my thing. I think because he's mentioned he's not turning it down. So I think he goes to Italy. In my personal opinion. But if you but weirder things have happened. True, that is true, Caden. But I'm just saying, I think he goes to Italy, but I think you have to make that call. I think you do.
Yeah, well, and to bring Italy back, I mean, Italy feels like the untouched canvas, if you will, in the European soccer game and really in the world. Like that is they're the sleeping giant. I still think Italy has the capabilities of being a World Cup caliber nation. They just have fallen by the wayside. But again, if there's anybody that's going to be able to straighten that out, it is Pep Guardiola, which, by the way, has never lived in the United States. However, did have a high-rise apartment in the summer of 2012 during his sabbatical once in Manhattan. So he has lived here for one summer. So maybe he liked it to where he's willing to come back. But no, Italy in terms of untapped potential and bringing them back, like that, a once proud nation with World Cup titles to their names coming back into the picture and being relevant again. I think that's also something that would be exciting for someone like Pep Guardiola, which I'm sure loves projects. He seems like I love projects kind of guy.
He does.
And he's certainly made
when
a few.
He took over, Man City was kind of a project at the time because, believe it or not, Man City kind of sucked when he took over. Fabian Pep for Team USA. Felix Pep will follow Jurgen global operations at Red Bull. And Jurgen's another person I might call as well. I know he rejected us the first time in 2024, but that was kind of right when he stopped. Yeah, that was right when he stopped managing Liverpool. And maybe a couple years down the line, you just call him, be like, "Hey, what you doing? You've been out of the game a couple years. Hey, it's me. Give me a call back." I think you got to make a call to both. And again, Jurgen, I think, is another manager that does not want to do anything with the club game anymore. He had Liverpool. He was a year. His own team just won the Prem the first year under Arne Slot, and Jurgen was the guy who built the team. And he was like, "I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. Take the part-time international job. Do it with the U.S. men's national team." Because again, what does that mean? Dual national recruitment. We become like the recruiting pitches. Want to play for Jurgen Klopp? Sure, that sounds fun. Want to play for Pep? Sure, that sounds fun. Like that's what it would be. People don't understand that yet.
Yeah. Yep. And he would certainly be one to completely just change
Just
the
don't take
entire
Arteta.
complexion.
Just don't get him. Or Cesc Fabregas. Stay away from those two. Because when Arteta goes, Fabregas needs to take over. That's what I need.
We're going to do a little SEC hating. It's the hate hour coming up on the other side of Inside the Game as we get into our all sports content. First, let's tell you about Man City Soccer Camps, proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, these camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30, or scan that QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at usacamps.mancity.com. Welcome back Inside the Game here, 295 here on the National Soccer Network, getting into our all sports portion of our show here before question of the day. You were watching the other day, I actually saw this on social media. Lane Kiffin was on Pardon My Take, and someone who normally tries to avoid interviews as much as possible, avoid the media, I think for obvious reasons, because it's Lane Kiffin, decided to join Pardon My Take.
The work that Marty Smith did during the whole LSU Ole Miss debacle for Lane Kiffin was unbelievable. I don't know how that guy stayed awake and basically just waiting for a grown man to finally make a decision about a job. I've never seen the work done by that.
But Lane Kiffin had something to say on Pardon My Take yesterday about the SEC.
Is the SEC dead, though? Because the Big Ten kind of whoops the SEC now.
It's fair.
Yeah, it is.
It's a fair statement.
It is.
Why do you think it's been so long since the SEC won a natty?
It's like there's like 4-year-olds that never seen an SEC win a natty.
My 4-year-old son Chris has actually he just thinks that the Big Ten is just the Big Ten. He doesn't even know about the SEC.
There's a lot into that. I think it's set up in a good way for the top heavy teams there right now. I think now, and it's going to get better. We're going to 9 games, and our bottom is harder than theirs. Okay, and our bottom stadiums, are harder than theirs. So we're going to beat each other up more, and they're going to sit up there and have 2-3 hard games a year, and so their top teams and our top teams, when they go to the playoffs, okay, they're in better shape. Mm-hmm. That stuff matters. It's why I've always been a proponent to stay at 8 games and let us make our own whoever we want to play in knockout. Don't tell us who we have to play.
Right.
And we would do the model of the last place I was just at. Look at we went 20-0 in non-conference regular season games at Ole Miss. 20-0. We didn't play any of them big openers. This place went in a 4-year span, lost 3 or 4 openers.
Yeah, they had played hard games at the openers.
So you play, that's so great, whatever. Well, you don't get rewarded for it because it's not worth it enough in this race. But also, that schedule where half your games you don't have to get up for, it's a mental toll that you got to play when you're getting up for. Plus, also, man, your good players are out by the fourth quarter, so your play count at the end of the year is less. One of the really good teams there rested a couple of their good players in games in conference games at the end of the year.
All right. We just got a harder schedule. We just beat up on each other all the time. That's why.
Do they forget the bye week they get in the second to last week of the season? Did they forget that? Where they play the Citadel and Georgia Southern the week before rivalry week. Do we still talk about that? Do we forget about that? Just saying. No, I think it is the dumbest excuse ever, Lane.
Yeah.
You realize that since NIL, since everyone started paying people, the Big Ten has started whooping on the SEC. We do realize that, right? You're also the same coach that bailed on his team from going into the playoff. You also did an interview in the press box while one of their CFP games was going on. Or no, that was like the LSU one. Never mind. And then you left and didn't even see the game get done. What? Lane, just face it. The SEC, once the playing field went like this, because you don't have the money the North has in the Big Ten, do we realize that since Georgia won the national championship, that the Big Ten is 5-0 in college football playoffs against the SEC? We do know that, right? Michigan beat Bama. Ohio State beat Tennessee. Texas. Indiana beat Alabama and someone else. We do realize that, right? And then we go back to bowl seasons. And don't give me this crap about the SEC doesn't care about the bowl games if it's not the playoff. The Big Ten don't care either. The Big Ten doesn't care either. They have all the players not playing. Yet they still beat the SEC. Just because the bottom is harder, the stadiums are tougher too. No, the only reason the stadiums are tougher too because it's warm outside and no one in the South has anything to do other than go to college football games because they don't have pro games. I'm sorry, but if Michigan is god-awful playing Maryland at the Big House in November, I ain't going because it's cold. I'm not going to that. Sorry, Arkansas has nothing going on, so they're going to go there. I don't think. But this. Okay, I had to get to this quote too. This is my favorite quote because Greg Sankey also talked about this too. He still thinks the SEC stands alone. Remember the end of the Ole Miss Miami game where Trinidad Chambliss threw a Hail Mary at the end to try to force overtime or win the game. I don't remember the exact score.
Yep.
Greg Sankey said this. That wasn't a Hail Mary. That was an attempt to score a touchdown in the last play, and those are small margins between winning and losing, and we prevailed on those small margins a number of times. Then what did I watch? Did my eyes mistake me? Was that not a Hail Mary? I thought the last play of the game in football where the quarterback from 40 yards away just chucks up the football in the end zone. I'm pretty sure that's called a Hail Mary, and I'm pretty sure that's what Trinidad did. The SEC is so stupid, man. They are just dumb.
Yeah.
The Miami Hurricanes will win. That's the ACC. My dad, corporation money versus car dealership money. You had a comma when comparing corporation money to car dealership money. Yeah, when you have Oracle funding your NIL, Michigan, and Alabama has some random Ford dealership down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama running it, I will take Oracle money. I will take the Oracle money.
There have been only two teams in the last decade and a half that have won a national championship out of the SEC. Alabama and Georgia. Bama 4 times.
LSU got one.
2011,
LSU got one.
5, that is. Okay, yeah, you're right. LSU.
Joe Burrow.
3 teams. Yep.
You want a homer?
That's true. That's true.
Ed Orgeron.
But
I can't believe he's back.
What that really shows me, though, is that the SEC, much like the Big Ten at times, but the SEC is top heavy and has always been ridiculously top heavy. What's so corny to me about SEC fans, and I'm talking about the Mississippis, the Ole Misses, those teams that are never really in the conversation. You could even throw Ole Miss into before obviously what Lane Kiffin did there, and then obviously what they did last year with Trinidad Chambliss, who are not in the fight, clinging onto those relevant teams in the SEC who do win championships and somehow claiming that, well, because your team doesn't win, well, at least our conference is good. It's the biggest cornball thing
I hate that.
I've ever seen. Like, there's no bigger cornball conference than the SEC, and it's just because they think everything's bigger and better in the South. And now, obviously, you add Texas and whatever else. But this is the attitude, this is the reputation. But what I love about NIL, and I know that there are so many reasons why people are kind of turned off by it, because it is such a keeping up with the Joneses mentality, just in college athletics in general now. But it did, in so many ways, level the playing field. Indiana's alumni base is huge. They got a lot of really rich folks who went to
Northwestern
Indiana.
should be a dynasty.
Well,
they have a lot of
journalism. Northwestern's a journalism school, so there ain't a lot of money in journalism unless you end up working for, NBC or Fox or whatever. But anyways, but it completely leveled the playing field. And I mentioned Nick Saban a little bit earlier. Like, why do you think Saban got out of this game? Like, he'll sit up
he
there
lost
and
to
he'll
Jim
talk
Harbaugh.
about,
That's why.
Well, kids these days aren't what they used to be, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right, fine. No, dude. Like, you got out of it because you realized that you don't have a stranglehold on the rest of college football because of how you used to do business. I'll never sit up here and say that the SEC isn't hard. It's very competitive. But we can also make the same exact argument for why the Big Ten is the way that it is. Yes, everybody beats up on one another. Minnesota is good for a big win every now and again. Any of these other...
Row the boat.
Even Northwestern is good to upset a team every now and again, once in a blue moon. If we don't make a field goal at Wrigley Field last year, they probably
no,
beat
we don't
Michigan.
talk about Michigan football. They're god awful last year. That team sucked. That team should not have won 9 games. That team was god awful.
No. But I will say this though, Ryan. From a across the board perspective, the environments in the SEC, with the exception of, let's take Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State out of the equation, with the exception of those schools, and maybe now Indiana, now that they're good,
bandwagon
across
fans.
the board, the environments are better in the SEC, though.
Sure.
Like, those are harder stadiums to play in. Okay.
Sure.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
But,
right.
I think the best environments, though, are the same thing. I sure, going to... Well, I don't even know the name of Northwestern's field anymore. But going to Minnesota...
Kyle Field or something? Yeah.
No, I don't know the name because it's still not done. So I don't know what it is. It used to be Ryan Field, but I don't know if it's still going to be that because it's taking way too long to build a damn stadium. But, like, if I were to go to Autzen, if I were to go to the Big House, the Shoe, or, East Lansing back in the day, I think was always bumping, but the team sucks now. Or you go to Happy Valley. I think the top of the top... Maybe not Michigan, because Michigan's kind of quiet. But if you go to the top of the top, I think that competes with the Alabamas, the LSU. The only difference is once you get to, Camp Randall was bumping back in the day. I feel like when you go to, the 7-5, 6-6 teams, then, yeah, I would say there's a massive drop-off, but I think that is simply because it's cold. No one wants to go out there and get sick, where you can go to the SEC in Arkansas, where it's like, yeah, we're 6-6, but we got nothing going on the rest of the year. So, because our basketball team, our basketball team is actually pretty good with Darius Acuff. But now it's like Felix mentions Purdue. Lots of Purdue fans became Indiana fans. I'm not really familiar with that.
A lot of Notre Dame fans became Indiana fans.
Well, Notre Dame fans are mainly just alumni. For the most part, and I don't think they have a ton of. Do they have a ton of students at their school? It's I think Notre Dame's kind of small in terms of enrollment because of how hard it is. I think to get in. I think could be wrong on that.
Yeah,
but no one's going to West Lafayette to watch a football game unless it's 75, 80 degrees. The team's awful. They were good under Brown for a couple of years, but there ain't nothing to do in the South. See how I said ain't in there? I try to be Southern there. There's nothing to do in the South other than going to college football games. Of course it's going to be packed. Have you seen Bloomington before Kurt Cignetti showed up? Even the beginning of Kurt Cignetti, there was 10,000 people in the stands. They weren't going to. That's why I say Indiana fans are bandwagon fans, because they weren't there at the hardest times. Me, however, through the Brady Hoke years, I was there, watching it all, just seeing us suck, losing to Maryland and Rutgers. Also, that's another one, Rutgers.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to Rutgers either. I just think, though, when it comes to the SEC, I just don't think they want to admit yet that they are being overpassed. They're being overtaken. The SEC, since NIL became a thing, has been overtaken by the Big Ten, and I don't think they want to admit that yet. I think they simply think that they have a firm grasp on college football and college basketball, but they haven't. They don't anymore, simply because everyone can pay players. Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, those people are not paying players, or they're not the only ones paying players anymore. Ryan Day's doing it. Kyle Whittingham's doing it. Kurt Signetti's doing it. Like, look, and also the Big Ten, if you look at the last 3 national champions, they're older teams. The Southern teams aren't really old. They're just a whole bunch of 5-stars, NFL draft picks, which, again, nothing against it, but you look at Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, they were all old, and they're not recruiting that way. And the fact that they can't develop the quarterbacks either. The SEC can't develop quarterbacks at all. But, like, look at the SEC, it's okay to admit that you have lost the firm grip on college athletics. I get it. It's a cult-like environment down there. But the Big Ten has overtaken you. And I don't even want to say that because I don't like rooting for the Big Ten. I just like rooting for Michigan. I don't want to see Ohio State win. I don't want to see Indiana win. I don't even want to see Purdue win. I don't like their basketball team. I don't want to see Purdue win. I don't want to see Illinois. I don't want to see State. But you guys root. I hate the South. The SEC just annoys me.
No, I
you guys
agree.
get the okay. Also, this is important to mention too. The biggest, back to your stadium thing, I totally forgot about this. Back to your stadium playing thing. The big games in the SEC also play at night and at 3:30. The big games, when it comes to the Big Ten, they're played at noon. So that also, I think, plays a bit of a factor. It's also harder to go there at night. Also, another reason why big noon kickoff is... Why do I have, again,
ridiculous.
Why do I have to, for a third straight season, have to wait for Michigan to play the opening game of the season on Peacock at 7:30 at night? Why couldn't that game just been noon? Why could I woke up, watched Michigan beat the crap out of Western Michigan, and just gone on with my day? No, now I gotta wait till 7:30 to watch Bryce Underwood suck. God. Hate college football sometimes.
It's a special experience.
But I do love it.
Very quickly before we get to question of the day, Ryan, do the Knicks stand a chance in the finals? I think they do.
No.
Well, we haven't. That series hasn't finished up yet. Okay, so
no,
OKC
it's 3-2
is up
Thunder. They play tonight though.
San Antonio 3-2. They do play tonight, so we'll see exactly how that goes. I do, but I don't, right? I don't for one reason, and that is because Oklahoma City has just simply done one thing, and they have manipulated this game in a way that helps them win, but is so unbelievably painful to watch, and I think in some ways, in some respects, kind of spits in the face of what the game of basketball is. And I think that's the part that has really been most disturbing to me, is seeing a lot of these old players watching these games going, you know what? I mean, forget the 90s, or the game isn't as physical now as it used to be. That's only the start of the conversation. It has become a shell of itself. And listen, I'm not here to say that Oklahoma City's not good. I mean, they do have a great defensive backcourt, but listen, they have manipulated this game in a way to where they can win games by simply flopping, and it has become flop city. And so, the only hope is, right? And if, again, I cannot believe that I'm actually find myself cheering for a New York-based team, because that's exactly what this is going to be, regardless of, if San Antonio makes it, I might cheer for them. But I can't believe that in my heart of hearts, I'm pulling for a New York team. But all I'll say is this. If the question mark is the referees, if the question mark is whether or not you're going to have a game that is reffed fairly against OKC, which again is never a guarantee, being in New York in the NBA Finals might help you get a few calls. I know referees maybe have a little bit of an ego issue when it comes to making calls and making the moment about themselves, but you talk about home court advantage. I don't think in basketball, I don't think there is a bigger home court advantage than the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. I mean, we just saw Spike Lee say this, a couple of days ago. If they end up winning it, you better hope it's on the road, because we've already seen what's happened in and around that stadium just after winning a playoff series. Like, forget winning a championship. And
Bing
so
bong.
maybe, just maybe, maybe Bing Bong will maybe just do enough to level the playing field when it comes to the way that game is refereed. But so I think, in terms of Brunson versus SGA, I think that's a great elite scoring matchup. I think the Knicks are uniquely built in order to handle elite perimeter shooting, which is what OKC has. I think Cat's a better big than Hartenstein is. I think he's more physical than Chet. I think he can body up Chet. I think they have a lot of pillars and pieces to be able to compete with OKC. But again, it all comes down to, what slimy, conniving thing will Oklahoma City do to try and get the extra calls and win this matchup. So I don't know, man. I hope. I'm a fan of chaos. I like chaos, and so I want to see the chaos that comes with New York actually winning an NBA championship.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with the Knicks winning it. Look, let's not act like Brunson doesn't flop either. Brunson flops 100%. Let's also not act like every Wemby flops. Wemby flops all the time. Thanks, LeBron. You created flopping in the NBA for us all. Appreciate it, my guy. No, I never rooting for the Knicks. I'll tell you that right now. And everyone always be hating on Shea for the flopping and everything. Yeah, he flops. But, his free throw numbers aren't like he doesn't live at the line. 7 free throws attempts a game throughout the season. Let's not kid ourselves that Steph Curry, if he had an off night, he was just going to the free throw line. James Harden, same thing, just going to the free throw line. Superstars do that. They figure out, okay, my jump shot's not there tonight. Let me just drive. Let's get fouled. Let's get to the free throw line. Let's create something with the game. The Thunder are way deeper. They have experience, and if Jalen Williams is healthy, I don't see the Knicks winning this at all. And I think their starting five is just as good as the Thunder's starting five. But then once the series continues to unravel, and the Pistons walked into the Madison Square Garden last year and won 2 games there. So I don't think it's like this mecca of a place to play or to win a game. I just don't think the East is that good. I think the West is miles better than the Eastern Conference.
You wouldn't say it's the hardest place to win a game in you don't think that would be the hardest location to win a game in an NBA championship? Or
no,
that
I think
it's one of
I think the Warriors
environments?
I think the Warriors, when you hear
Warriors,
Warriors, I think once that was going, you're like, oh crap, we're cooked. We're cooked once this chant gets going. No, I the only thing I see the Knicks going for him is rest. That's the only thing I see. But in terms of flopping and whistling, it happens all over the place. And Brunson does the same thing. That's what all Detroit fans were complaining about last year with Brunson. Just flops everywhere every time Cade touched him. So that's what I'm saying. Jax Luckin, you got me hyped for Saturday, mate. # victory through harmony. The Gunners are winning, man. I'm telling you that right now. The Gunners are winning the Champions League. And Spike Lee's going to have another trophy. But that's going to be the last one he gets. So, because he's not winning an NBA championship. I think if I look at the matchup, because again, we still don't know the exact matchup. Let's not kid ourselves. The Thunder are playing a very good Spurs team. They are playing a very good Spurs team, and they have to deal with Wemby, 7'6" Wemby or whatever it is. Are they physical with them? Yeah, all the time. But if you're Wemby, maybe pick up on it. Maybe cock your head back. Maybe do that. I'm just saying, maybe Wemby can learn a couple of things. Maybe not, hey, whisper to Mason Plumlee, hey, knock the living crap out of Jared McCain when he drives. I'm just saying. Because, and I do want to mention that point real quick. Again, I'm like defending LeBron here. If LeBron James was caught doing that when he lost to the Warriors to go up to like Tristan Thompson and says, hey, whack the living crap out of Steph Curry, LeBron would have been ridiculed for that. Yet Wemby has this like safe protection from the media from him. Dude, look, the dude's a whiner. He flops as a 7'6" player. He's soft. Yet no one wants to call Victor Wembanyama out. I don't know why. Got me defending LeBron James for crying out loud. What has this show gotten into?
Yeah.
But I don't see a chance for the Knicks win. I genuinely can't see the Knicks winning the NBA Finals. I don't. Because tell me, where do they win? They'll win one at home because I'm at Madison Square Garden, but I don't see them in 7 games defeating the Thunder. They haven't beat the Thunder all year. Thunder took care of them both times. I don't see an avenue where the Knicks win. I don't.
Yeah, I see you. Let's get into question of the day. I know we're up against it here, but let's get into question of the day.
Question of the day. I think everyone kind of knows if you've been watching for the majority of the show what it's going to be. Question of the day. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off the number one smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Scan that QR code on your screen. Oh, visit saltathletic.com today. But question of the day, with Pochettino most likely gone, who would you want to manage the U.S. men's national team next?
I think I have a couple of options. I mean, Steve Cherundolo, I think, would be maybe my third option on the list if we're going from 3 to number 1. I mean, he's a staple in the MLS. He's really well connected with the American game. Again, do we go domestic or do we go not domestic, right? That's the question. And I think if we're going to go with the domestic game, I think Steve Cherundolo would be a great choice. The other one that we've mentioned a lot throughout the course of our show, and I'm surprised that he didn't come up in the earlier conversation. This is assuming that he wants to be in this position, which is a big assumption. Pellegrino Matarazzo. New Jersey's finest, a native of New Jersey, right now managing Real Sociedad, and has had a lot of success with them, has made history as an American manager in the European game, but pragmatic, highly respected, someone that obviously comes from both schools of thought, European and the American game. And if we're talking about successful products or people that have been produced by the college game in the United States, look no further than one Pellegrino Matarazzo. He played in the NCAA once upon a time. He's coached, right? So this is someone who has a very, very firm grasp on what's going on in USA soccer. And then obviously number 1, as you talked about, Pep Guardiola would be far and away my number 1 choice. And it would take quite a bit, I think, financially speaking, in order to do so. But I'll circle back on what I said earlier in the show, and that is Pep knows how to do one thing, and that is turn places around. Whether that be clubs, whether that be wherever else he's gone, he has succeeded. I don't think there's been a single place where he's gone where he has not won. And those types of coaches, they look at things differently. They look at things uniquely. They're willing to try things. They're willing to put themselves out there. Oftentimes they never sleep, right? Because they're constantly thinking about what do we have to do in the next match. Everything Pep has done in his career has been win. And so to managers like that and coaches like that, to present them with a project or a test, I don't think it's something that's nearly as daunting as it is exciting for someone like Pep Guardiola. If I'm looking at the U.S. men's national team, we're talking about untapped potential. We've seen it with FIFA, with their willingness to have all these different events in the United States. And now for Pep, we have players that continue to fill out the European game. Can we get their academy, not their academy, but their youth system? Can we start moving this in the right direction? And especially for someone who has, I would say, very little knowledge as to how it works here in the U.S. He's only been here for a summer once in 2012. And so it would seem completely out there, but in terms of the power that he brings with his name, the respect that he garners from people around the sport, you automatically, by inserting Pep, you make the U.S. men's national team an attractive place to go play. And what do we talk about when we mention small markets? What do we talk about when we mention these teams and these places that, we can't get these superstars to come play here? How do you do that? You make it a destination to come play at. You make it an attractive place to want to come play at or manage at or coach at. Simply inserting Pep could do that for USA Soccer, undoubtedly.
I think Pep. Oh, he finally said no. Jurgen, he says no. But domestically, I was going to say Matarazzo. That's immediately who I was going to circle to, because now maybe we need why do I pick Pep and Jurgen? Because I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to go back to the club game. Navin Desawani, Pep don't turn nothing around. He inherits top clubs and spends crazy. Yeah, who still buys the players, orchestrates everything? I don't like Pep Guardiola because he beats Arsenal all the time, but he's done unthinkable things in the English game. Centurions, 100 points in a season. He's won the domestic treble, first time that's ever happened. He's also won the true treble. Then you go over, he's won the treble at Barca. He did everything at Bayern. So, he's still a very smart manager. Has he been in great spots? Yeah, but let's not kid ourselves. Man City wasn't a great spot to be in when he took it over. Just saying. And then I would go Matarazzo for my domestic choice because I think he's done a really good job so far at Real Sociedad. Let's see how long that continues. I would like to see, maybe what a full season looks like. I guess I could waste a year, with an interim. To be honest with you, Nate, Xabi Alonso for Team USA. I would disagree on that one because Alonso wants to be in the club game. But with Matarazzo, he's an American. He understands the ins and outs. And he was even interviewed by Men in Blazers not too long ago about, the USA World Cup. And he thinks that they need to somehow captivate a nation. And he even said, quarterfinals, we need to get there. And it feels like his head, just at certain things he's talked about with the U.S. men's national team, it feels like his head is in the correct space. And I think if you are, Matarazzo, I think you can do that with the U.S. men's national team. I think you do a very good job with us. And I don't think he would want to leave. I think if he were to continue to do a good job with the U.S. men's national team, I think he would do a good job for us. So that's what I would go domestically, but I'm still calling Jurgen. I'm still calling Pep before I get to Matarazzo, but I would call Matarazzo as my domestic choice. Trundle's not a bad shout either. I know he had some family things. That's why he left LAFC. So I don't know how much that bothers him. I don't know how much that affects him. Maybe we just put our hats in the ring as becoming the U.S. men's national team manager. So at least we would promote the game because we have social media presences. So yeah, that'd be nice.
Does this make younger players too who are on their way up? Does it make the U.S. men's national team the number one goal in terms of I want to play for the USMNT, not I want to weigh my options, or I might go to Poland or I might go to Germany?
With Pep and Jurgen,
that's what I'm saying.
The recruitment becomes like that. Nokai Banks would be, what do you mean I could be a part of the U.S. men's national team? Yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah, I would.
Right.
Because you're with Pep.
Right. And so, yes. And that's
think about the knowledge you could get from him in just the 2 weeks you're together.
Right. And so that's what changes in my mind is now you open the eyes to these young American players being okay, maybe once upon a time I wasn't confident that I could win in the red, white, and blue. Now I am, right? Because Pep is the one is on the sidelines, or Pellegrino Matarazzo. Really, I think any of them would have a great chance of really kind of leading that. But it's in convincing the youth in that next crop to be hey, I want to play for the U.S. men's national team. I don't want to play anywhere else, right? I'll play my club season in Serie A. I'll go to the Prem. I'll go wherever else. But when it all comes down to it, when we're getting ready for that World Cup in 2030, if Pep Guardiola is the one that's on the standing along the side leading this team, yeah, I want to learn from him. Because again, and you mentioned, I thought it was really astute when you mentioned the connections that he has, because it's not just about playing in the World Cup or playing for the USA. It's about all of those other things that can come from, hey, I impressed Pep in training, or I'm really giving him a good look. What does this mean for my pro career? Where can I take this in terms of the connections he has in those other spaces, those other arenas? It could be a huge, massive decision for USA Soccer for sure.
I think so.
But
too. That'd be great.
Yeah. But that'll put a wrap here on 295. A quick update. Tomorrow we will not have a show. Ryan will be out for that one tomorrow, so nothing coming up tomorrow morning. However, we will be back on Monday. The U.S. men's national team playing their send-off, one of their send-off friendlies. They got Senegal coming up. I believe that's on Sunday at 3:30. So we will have our reaction to that one, and we'll also talk about that one a little bit coming up on Monday. At least I believe it's Sunday at 3:30. Right?
Yeah, you are correct.
Okay. All right. So that one coming up then, and then we'll chat about that on Monday. So exciting times, a lot coming up here on the network. We appreciate everybody who stops by every day. And until we talk to you guys for 296 on Monday, so long, everybody.
We'll be right back.